everybody.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay, Otika's asking for help. I don't know what. Just give me like half a second and I'll come right back.
Of course.
Would you like us to begin? I did not get an answer.
Yeah.
What is the group vote? I will leave this to the democratic process. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, there's 6 of you. How's this going to work? Let's see. Would everybody like to start now? Yay, nay?
I think we should wait until Prof V comes back. She said to hold on just a sec.
Did she? Okay.
Yeah.
I did not catch
Yeah,
that.
Otika was having problems getting in.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
I will trust you, Shauna.
Don't.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you for that piece of, thank you for that piece of information.
Of
that
course,
I
you're
missed.
welcome, David.
I would hate for
Have you all
professors-
shared before? Did you do your presentations last week?
No, I'm going to do mine
That's
now.
what we're doing? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I did mine last week and I wasn't sure if we were going to do it again or what this Google Sheet sign up was actually for. So, okay.
No, we just do it once each.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad I get to hopefully see you or Rachel. Either way, that's going to be great to see you all perform.
I think both.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, me too. Well, how's everyone's week been?
I'm well, and that's good. I'm well. I'm here. I'm in on all 3 of my.
Shauna, I think we just lost you. You there?
I'm still here.
Okay. I think you cut out briefly, at least on my end. I'm sorry, I missed you. You said something 3 what?
It says here, my internet connection is unstable. You know, it's just really good to be here, taking those breaths in and out. You know, those breaths in and out, that breath of life that we have. So thankful. Kids are good, grandkids are good. I've got food, shelter, you know. What about you, David?
The same, you know, I really appreciate how you bring it back to like the basic, you know, the basic elements that we kind of overlook. We tend to overlook, especially as we get caught up and consumed in our day-to-day lives. But you're absolutely right. I'm just, I went for a walk yesterday and it's like spring-like weather around here. And I just started to, you know, really absorb it and realize, you know, I'm so thankful that I have clean air to breathe. You know, I think that's something that humanity currently takes for granted. Obviously, that's my opinion. But, you know, clean water, clean air, clean food, fresh food. These are the basic things that are the building blocks of life and allow us to do other things like pursue other endeavors like this right now, right? Because if we didn't have those other things, I don't think we'd be online, you know, focusing on topics like this right now. We'd be trying to get dinner, make sure we have a roof over our head tonight, right?
Right. So true. So yeah, I'm so thankful to be able to look at all these beautiful people and these faces and just be here. Yeah. You ready, Rachel? I know you are. You look ready.
I don't know, Mom.
Oh, you're fine, Rachel. You got it.
Yeah, you have my vote already.
You're just fine. Everybody's good. We've all got our own way of doing things. So,
yeah, exactly.
You know.
And that's the beauty of it too. The beautiful part is the worst part. You know, Professor's back in.
I'm good.
Okay.
Sorry, they had a little technical difficulty, so they're good now.
Oh, good.
All right. Am I granted the authority to move forward? Thank you. Okay. Awesome. All right, everybody. Good evening. My name is David Ervin. Tonight we will be discussing the United States intervention in international relations and foreign affairs. So just to briefly discuss what the purpose of this is, it's to increase awareness about the United States involvement in international relations and foreign affairs through discussion about the pros and the cons of such intervention, and also to suggest actions on a personal level to decrease polarization and conflict that is related to the United States involvement in international relations and foreign affairs. So to open, I would like to start with a quote from the first president of the United States of America, George Washington. And it states that to be prepared for war is one of the most effectual means of preserving peace. And he said that on Friday, January 8th, 1790, during his first annual address to both houses of Congress. So before we begin and diving into the topic, I would like to go around and check in with everybody. So I would just like to ask everybody to please introduce yourself, your name, what you prefer to be called while we're in the presence of each other's time today, and any other hobbies or anything else interesting that you would like the group to know before we begin. So I'm going to start with the person in the top left to me, and that is Dylan.
Hi, I'm Dylan, and sorry, what was you asked us to share the other thing? Sorry.
Yeah, so just introduce yourself, your name, what you prefer us to call you, any other hobbies or anything interesting you'd like to share with the group to begin.
My name is Dylan, and I enjoy playing golf. That's one of the things I enjoy, and cars, and yeah, those are basically my two hobbies, really.
All right, Dylan, thank you for sharing with us. So I would ask for you to pass it to the person in the box next to you on your screen.
That would be Rachel.
Hello, class. David, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so it's just for everybody to please introduce themselves, your name, what you prefer to be called while we're in our circle, and any other hobbies or interesting facts you'd like to share with the group before we begin.
My name is Rachel. I identify as she, her, and hers. And some hobbies that I'm interested in. It sounds weird, but I enjoy sleeping on spare time. And then I also enjoy getting outdoors and doing a little walking and exercising. And one of the highlights that I had this weekend is a good friend of mine's. We've been friends, I want to say about over 6 years now. We started off in a new job together, but she's still there. I went on to do other things, but she got married on Sunday. So I was really happy to see that. Thanks.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that with us, and congratulations to the couple. And, you know, sleeping is one of the most overrated. Well, I shouldn't say overrated. I'd rather say underrated, because we technically spend a third of our lives sleeping, right? And we're kind of like phones and other electronics. We need to charge our batteries to be able to efficiently operate efficiently is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm already getting stumbled up on my words. Thank you for sharing, Rachel. Would you please pass it to the person in the box that's next to you?
In the box next to me will be Professor V.
Hi, something I'd like to share is that it's just been a crazy, exciting, exhausting, fun-filled week. And I'm happy. So I'm going to pass it over to Ignacio.
Hello, everyone. Name's Ignacio. Go by Iggy. One of my hobbies is that I like to DJ, and it's been a while since I DJ'd. I left all my equipment at my mom, so I need to go over there sometime. Go get it. I don't know. It's like a way of me expressing myself, I guess, like the songs I play and everything. So yeah, that's one of my hobbies. And this week, or the past 3 weeks, have been a lot emotionally and mentally. So trying to practice more mindfulness activities, just kind of help myself like recenter. But yeah, and person to the right of me is, I believe, Shauna.
Thank you, Iggy. Shauna here. Pronouns are she and her. This has been quite a week since I presented last week, and life is spectacular, a little scary. I'm actually going on a 7-day cruise to Mexico with my former partner of 12 years. We're going as companionate, loves only. So it's going to be exciting, but we'll be trapped together for 7 days. For me, first time out of the country. And Probably my favorite thing to do as far as entertainment is I love karaoke. Can't do much of it with a lot of people these days because of the quarantining or whatever the issues with the mic and so on and so forth. But yeah, I love karaoke. Thank you. And is there anyone to my right? I don't see anyone.
Thank you, Shauna. I see, I believe Hakeem is the one that's next to you.
Hi, my name is Akeem, and I'm a beach soccer player. So pretty much I play 3 times or 4 times a week. So that keep me going and keep me fit, and pretty much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing that with us. What position do you play, Hakeem?
I'm a left wing. Naturally, I'm not a lefty, but I play on the left side, 11, and sometimes 3. I drop back, hold the midfield sometimes, so I could run miles, so pretty much.
All right.
Yeah.
So I hear you're quick on your feet then, right?
Absolutely. I'm from a
All right.
country that plays soccer, so that's all we know. So yeah, so any additional sport is just a pick up on the way. So, but soccer is the major things in my country, and we still hold it there today. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing that background information with us. So surprised that was the first part of the icebreakers in the intro, getting to know each other. So I have one more question before we dive into the topic. So we'll run it back from the beginning, starting with Dylan. And the question this time is, if you could live anywhere on this planet and take anything, if you could live anywhere on this planet and take everything that you love with you, where would you choose to live? Please share your answer with the group.
If I was able to choose where I'd live, I would live in Hawaii. The reason being is because that's just the nicest trip that I've ever been on, was to Hawaii. And I actually have told myself that I don't know if I could see myself living there, but I think that if I had, like you mentioned, everything around you that you care about and that kind of steers you away from moving, then I think that would be the place that I would go, just because of everything, really, the beaches, the water, and it's just super nice place. But I would choose Hawaii. And Rachel is to my left.
Hawaii was always top on my list. And then growing up, I always wanted to live in New York, but now it's too busy for me. But I probably would pick my current state now, maybe London, or I don't know why I keep thinking Alaska. So it's either like that. I keep going back and forth between those two. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. And then next was Professor V.
I think it would probably be New Zealand. And it's only because I've just seen so many pictures of the countryside, and it just seems just so relaxing. But it has its own very authentic culture. And I don't know, that's the thing that stays in my head, that eventually that's going to be one of my bucket list destinations.
All right, New Zealand. Thank you for sharing with us. So Iggy, would you like to share next?
Yes. I think I would definitely want to move somewhere in the Netherlands. I've always wanted to visit, and from what I've heard, Amsterdam is one of the happiest places to live. So somewhere where it's top 10 countries to live in, or places to live in, is definitely where I'd want to move to.
Okay, so countries that that report higher levels of happiness. Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. Then next is Shauna.
Okay, it would be one of 2 places, either Monterey, California. Okay, so I can take everything that I love with me, right? Everything that I have with me. Okay,
that is part of the deal.
Okay, great. Okay, or else I'd stay right here. Monterey, California, or Paris, France.
All right. And are there any reasons why?
I've always been fascinated with Paris. When I was in high school, I thought I was going to have a son and we would live together in Paris. I have a son, but we live here in California. I'm fascinated with, again, I've never been out of the country, and I speak a little bit of French. I consider myself a Francophone. I've studied French academically, and I think I'm one of them. And I just kind of feel like I would fit in there. And Monterey Park does not sound a little, but anyway, there was a show, I believe it was on HBO, stellar cast. I can't think of the names right now because I'm under the gun, but it was set in Monterey. And I'm like, take me away. Yeah, I can do Monterey, California. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate
You're
you
welcome.
appreciate you sharing with us. If I may just ask one more request, would you mind sharing a quick phrase in French with us? You said you've been practicing?
Je parle un peu français.
Ah, oui.
I speak a little French.
Little French, yeah.
That's about as much as I know. So, all right. Just had to throw that out there. Thank you for sharing with us. Awesome. Let's go, Hakeem.
That's Mother Africa, you know. One day, I believe, you know, when I get older, I'll pack and go back to where the whole journey began. So we're in the village, you know, we're surrounded by the trees and some mud huts, you know, live peacefully, and they're part of the community, and see how it goes from there. Yeah, Mother Africa.
All right. Thank you, Hakeem. And I see we have a new participant in the circle. It looks like Jennifer just jumped in with us. Jennifer, are you there? Is she just going to observe? Professor, you're muted.
No, I'm sorry.
No worries.
She may just be observing. She's at
That's
work.
fine. No worries, Jennifer. If you would like, you could feel free to type in the chat or share with us, raise your hand, or you could listen on. Thank you for being with us. All right, everybody. So we'll go ahead and move on. Thanks for, sharing with each other. I think that when we go through icebreakers like this, it helps us kind of, get a little more comfortable and familiar with each other before we approach, the topic at hand. So the last thing I want to do before we dive in, I know I keep saying one more thing, is just review the guidelines and the ground rules. So I just ask that people value each other's confidentiality. We ask each other if we are allowed to share each other's stories, and we respect each other's stories, and we, maintain the privacy of each other's stories and words. We speak openly and honestly when it is our turn, when it's your turn. Respect each other while speaking and listening. Keep it civil. Explore differences respectfully and look for common ground, what we call those gems. Acknowledge that we're all human. Believe in our common best intentions. We stay focused on the task and the question at hand, on topic. I ask that people please silence their cell phones, and if you are able to, please turn your camera on so that we could see each other's faces and engage in as much of a realistic setting as possible, given that this is virtual. I request that people please be mindful and present in the moment. This kind of goes into the other ones, just disengage from whatever other outside distractions we have in everyday life, and please do the best we can to contribute to this discussion. Would anybody else like to have add any additional contributions or any changes to the ground rules that we've discussed, or anything else they'd like to share before we begin? If not, can I please get a thumbs up, a nod, a yes in the chat if everybody's good to move forward?
Perfect.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So I see that everybody seems like they're ready to move forward. So one last time, the purpose of this discussion is to increase awareness about the United States involvement in international relations and foreign affairs through discussion about the pros and cons of intervention. And we are here to suggest actions on a personal level to decrease polarization in conflict related to the U.S. involvement in international relations and foreign affairs. So with that, we will dive into the fun. The first question, and real quick, we will maintain our same speaking order that we did in the opening round when we were sharing our background information with each other. So Dylan will be first. The first question is, what are the pros, arguments for, advantages, etc., of United States intervention in international relations and foreign affairs?
Um, I would, sorry, repeat the question. What was the question?
So what are the pros, like the arguments for the advantages of the United States intervention in international relations and foreign affairs?
I just think that the more countries that we talk to, the better. And the more I've always believed in, the more people helping, like the quicker you're gonna get things done, and like the better the ending is gonna be and could be. So I've always been a strong believer in uh the more the more the merrier. So I think that it's very important, and that's just always been my outlook on it.
All right. So I hear you saying that you feel like the more countries, more people that are included, the more hopeful that the outcome could be to be beneficial for those who are involved. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Great. I appreciate that. That's a good way to get this started. Thank you. So next in our speaking order is Rachel.
I agree along the lines with Dylan. I feel like having international relationships is key to understanding how to operate world affairs. So if we reduce or we eliminate our involvement and try to make it on a micro level, I don't think we can be successful on the macro level. Thanks.
Okay. So you're essentially saying that it's important for us to at least be there at the table to know what's going on, if I'm hearing you correct. Okay. Thank you for sharing that with us. Next is Professor V.
Well, for me, when I think about advantages to involvement, I think about the role the United States has had since World War II. You know, we've assumed that role, we've maintained that role as a global leader, and so many of our allies have come to recognize us as such. So when there is a crisis, they automatically look to the U.S. for some form of intervention. You know, if we had a society where the playing field was level, I would say each state should be responsible for each state's internal affairs. But we all know the playing field is never, ever level. And there are countries that need assistance. So my feeling is, I think that we should be able to provide assistance if we're asked for it, not to go in there heavy-handed just because, okay, we're the US, we have military strength, we have technology, we have all these other things. But if a country that's at a disadvantage is asking us for help, I think we should lend that helping hand.
All right. So I hear you kind of bringing it back to the United States in their role, kind of as, correct me if I'm taking it out of context, kind of like as a big brother towards the other countries, in that the other countries that represent Western society tend to look to the United States for support when it comes to dealing with foreign affairs when tensions seem to escalate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just real quick, I'd like to ask one quick follow-up question. So you described it'd be appropriate for the United States to get involved when there are certain disadvantages that are occurring in other countries, correct? Like some people populations are facing disadvantages. Could you please elaborate on that a little more? Like, what does a disadvantage look like to you that would justify United States intervention?
I would say, I mean, even now, if you look at Ukraine and this whole thing with Russia, Russia is second behind the United States in terms of military might, if that's the right term. Ukraine is powerless. I mean, and I'm surprised that they're holding their ground. But that, to me, that would be a situation where we wouldn't necessarily send troops, because I would hate to see young men, young women go over and, be a part of casualties. But we should be able to provide them with, the armory that they need to try and balance the playing field. You know, we should be able to provide more than, you know, clothes and food and that kind of things. Yes, they need that, but is that really going to matter if they're being nuked? They don't have the weaponry to protect themselves.
Okay, so you're bringing up the point of the fact that given the example that you're using, so for instance, like when a big country like Russia, that's a world power, can just essentially go in and sweep or take over a smaller country, and the other country does not have access to weapons and arsenal like other first world countries and world powers tend to possess themselves. Okay, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I think that adds value to the conversation and where we're at so far. So thank you for your words. Would you like to add anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you so much. So Iggy, would you like to share with us what you believe some of the pros of United States intervention in international relations and foreign affairs are?
Yeah, I would kind of basically have the same view as Professor V. I do think when we do get involved, it helps to like build an alliance with other countries. But I think there's like a fine line where I feel like the U.S. gets involved because they know they have such a like huge like military force. I feel like it's used to like instill fear to other countries, as opposed to like being intentional. Like, okay, like this other country needs our help. How can we support them, like through a war or something, without trying to make it seem like once the U.S. is involved, like other countries should be scared. So I think they should have like some sort of intention that comes across as more like we have the resources with our military. How can we send those resources to the countries who also need like the resources that we have, like the same military power that we have? So yeah, I think usually the U.S. their involvement kind of comes off as like unethical because, again, like I feel like they're just doing it to like show the other countries like they should be scared of us. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Okay. So I hear you saying that you believe that there is an element of unethical practice sometimes that could occur due to the fact that the United States has so much military buildup and they can kind of use that as intimidation. Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that with us in the group. Appreciate your words. Would you like to share anything else with us?
No, it's kind of just that.
All right, cool. So Shauna, you are up next. Would you like to share with the group?
Thank you, David. Let me just preface by saying that I'm not that politically savvy. I kind of take in as much as I think I need or whatever, want to be current, but I just don't follow it that much. But I'm going to piggyback off of Prof. V and Iggy and say that, you know, I think that U.S. intervention is relevant, specifically if it's requested and if it's desired. I'm kind of on the fence about if we were not asked, let's just use Ukraine as an example, if we were not asked to support and intervene, you know, I kind of like feel, well, you just have to go in and help them because they need help. Now that's me, and again, that's not as savvy, you know, as maybe I would like to say it, but I'm more about how would I want things to be handled if they were dropping bombs on 48th and Vermont? Would I want this to last for a month? And if the United States is the power that they present and represent globally, just the mere alliance is powerful, but I would want troops, equipment, because, and I say that as having a son who is a first responder, you know, I would want for them what I want for myself. And that would mean going in and taking it by force. And I know that at this point, from what I have heard from others, there is a reason why they have not gone and found Putin and his people and restrained them, because it could turn into something else. And we don't want nuclear warfare any more than we want what's going on now to happen. So again, I think intervention, it's kind of like a big brother. I know I have a big sister who was my protector a lot of times. And, when I felt I couldn't stand on my own, I knew in my head that I had a sister that had me. And all I had to do was wait till that bell rang and I could get to her and let her know. And it was on. So much like that, I think that those that we've allied with deserve our support. And then the world in general, US intervention, I'm on the fence about that. I'm done. Thanks, David.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. It sounds like you hit on, several similar topics that were shared with some of our previous participants. So I thank you again for the contribution. I'd like to go ahead and move it on to Hakeem now.
Yeah, I mean, on the surface, we said they are there to prevent evil, to stop genocide, to stop the bad guy, but there's what we call quid pro quo, in politics, So every intervention you will find the United States getting involved, you ask the question, what is the need for the US interest? So one of the key things the US will worried about most is what is in there for the interest of the United States of America. So if the interest is way beyond what, like one of the problems we have in Ukraine, just like Professor mentioned, is because Ukraine is a shared border with the Russian. And they wanted to have anti-ballistic missile stationed there. And this is one of the reasons why Putin is saying no NATO membership should be given to Ukraine. But if US has its way and the allies in NATO, they wanted that to happen in order to keep Putin in check. So for the ordinary people out there, we say, well, we are trying to prevent this, we are trying to prevent that. But deep down, just the same thing that happened in the Cuba conflict many years back, whereby the Russian, then there was USSR, as it being called, they were trying to install ballistic missile in Cuba. And the US says, no, we bomb the hell out of you if you allow that in our neighborhood. And then because of the might of the United States, that didn't happen. Cuba were unable to receive the installation of all these things coming from USSR. Then they were called USSR, So, but my only point is that, yes, to the outside world, the US intervened because they want to prevent evil. They want to prevent the triumphant of, people celebrating, havoc, genocide and the likes, which is good. But on the flip side, every intervention the US has been involved is they have interest, and which the interest is at stake. So whether we agree to why they have to intervene or not, I'm not seeing this, changing, this policy changing in the near future, because for the US to remain the superpower, to remain the police, out there, they have to have the hedge. And here we are. So, but again, a lot of good things for the intervention, but at the same time, it's also for the interest of the United States government. Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. So I hear you kind of coming at it from the perspective that there are interests that are both public and private. So in other words, you have the United States essentially saying that they are for intervening to prevent evil, or what the perception of evil is. That's their narrative, versus the private strategy with the interests that are behind the motives and the people in Washington, D.C. Does that kind of sum up what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I see that I just received a message. We're going to jump ahead real quick. So what are some of the cons that are associated with United States intervention in international relations and foreign affairs? That's the next question. So just the opposite of the first. We just discussed what could be good. So what could be bad, cons, arguments against, disadvantages, etc. We'll go ahead and start with Dylan on this one.
One of the problems would be, just like I was mentioning, whenever you talk to, kind of something we already went over, whenever we talk to a lot of people, there's going to be more problems that it brings to us. So the more countries that we talk to, the more problems that we're going to be kind of pulled into. And so it's kind of like you have to find, like, I guess, a happy medium between when and when not to get involved. But a con would definitely be the more people you talk to, like I said, the more problems would arise that we'd have to be a part of.
Okay, so the potential for things to become complex exists when you start getting so many parties involved. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and just more problems overall.
All right. Thank you. So we will go to Rachel next. And I hate to say this, but given the time constraint, if I could just ask everybody to be a little more brief in this round, because I would really like to get to question number 3. So I apologize for that. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome. My brief would be, I think, language barriers when trying to communicate with so many entities, and then also money. It costs money to try to keep relationships going. It's not just the communication piece, but it's actual the financial piece as well. And then also the more involved, the more resources we need to account for to assist with matters as well. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. So we will go next to Professor V.
Well, just quickly, I think one of the biggest disadvantages, and I think Dylan talked about it or referred to it, is that the more the US is called in, or if they just step into trying to support another country, the very people we support sometimes become our enemies. So that, that switch gets flipped.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much. And we will go next to Iggy.
I think usually when the US gets involved, there tends to be like a lot of collateral damage with their involvement. So like usually they might invade like cities or anything that like doesn't really pose a threat, and because of that they might like abuse their power. It costs a lot of money to be able to like fund the military. It's kind of all I can think of right now.
Okay. So money to fund and maintain creates damage in the long run, potentially. Thank you. Shauna?
Okay, first thing would be the loss of lives. The loss of American lives, the soldiers that would go over there would be one of the cons of the intervention. And another would be unwanted, undesired help, like I mentioned in the last question, but just the opposite of when, we get there, we might want to take too much control we don't have, or a disagreement in our way of being and their way of being. So respect and all of that, or the lack thereof. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And then Hakeem.
Yes, the loss of life and the loss of life of the innocent men and women that have been thrown there, and the more enemy, created as a result of us being involved in this war. But just for me to have this on, I know we are out of time. Any war, and I'm saying it, any war that the US is involved, the cost is not the issue, because every country they go into, like I said, there's something in return. So they are not going to be a police for no country. Even in Africa, they will take something back in return. So let's just put that one. I know it's a discussion of another day, but they never go into any war. Even in Afghanistan, they never go into any war without something in return. But for even Iraq, the record are there. You can all look at it. So the cost is not an issue. So just to put that one out there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Hakeem. Really appreciate you sharing with us again. So we'll go ahead and do we have time to do the last question? Perfect. So we'll go ahead and we'll go right into the last question, which is what actions could you take to depolarize conflict related to the United States intervention in international relations and foreign affairs? So this is kind of like personal actions, on your own level that you think you could do. Anything that comes to mind. So we'll go ahead and start with Dylan.
One thing that I could think about is sometimes it's better to leave things unsaid, especially if you can't personally control the situation. I know everybody feels that, they're entitled to their opinion, but I feel that sometimes people share too much information on like social media and stuff like that. And then that brings up conflicts that then happen inside the United States because of, people. It's just sometimes I just feel like it's better to left, like I said, things unsaid that you can't control. So my suggestion would just be like if you don't have if you're not trying to help the situation, then just, kind of keep your opinions to yourself.
Okay, thank you for that. And we'll go to Rachel next.
When it comes to like issues like this, I try to stay neutral, especially when I don't know all the facts and I'm not really versed on it. I try not to, if I'm not really up to date with all the stuff that's going on and why it's going on a really intimate level, then I just try to keep a neutral stance because I don't want to speak prematurely. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rachel and Professor V.
Well, I'm just looking at this from a professional perspective. I think as practitioners, we can host conversations where people can voice their concerns. Part of gaining understanding and lessening and mitigating tensions in communities is that you've got to give both sides an opportunity to say what they feel. And the only way people can sort of bridge an understanding of what their neighbor feels is to have an opportunity to have a conversation. So I know with the work we did with the pandemic, the first thing we did is we brought together 100 different practitioners from across the world to learn about what they were doing to support their communities, right at the onset of the pandemic. And we learned so much information just from that conversation. And so I think when we can, as practitioners, when we can create the space for people to have an opportunity to hear both sides, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to agree, but that first step is getting some understanding. And if we can create opportunities for understanding, we can mitigate a lot of, I think, a lot of hurt and lessen a lot of tension.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Nicely said. Iggy, would you like to share next?
I think for me personally is kind of just becoming more educated and informed on like these kind of topics because I don't really know that much, but I do think that's something that I could do better myself. And then just kind of like what Professor V said, like just participating or facilitating like more community dialogues for people to kind of just participate and kind of like broaden their understanding of what's going on and allowing a space for both parties or both sides to share like whatever their thoughts are. I think something we could do collectively.
All right, thank you, Iggy. And then Shauna.
David, will you please repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question is, what actions could you take to depolarize conflict related to the United States intervention in international relations and foreign affairs?
Okay, I agree with my fellows that, social media can be used for good and it can be used for not so good. I try to not speak on things that, well, in depth anyway. I can say, oh, that's nice, or oh, I don't like that, but in depth where my opinion is going to matter to someone else or to many, I try to be careful and mindful that I'm not an expert. So I have had to get comfortable with, I'm not sure, and saying, I'll have to get back with you on that because I don't know to answer to that and to shed light. So instead of potentially not shedding light, I just say, I don't understand and I don't know. But I try to live peacefully wherever I go. Personal action I've taken is I've stopped driving my car. I've started walking, being more engaged with anyone that is willing to engage with me, just living my life like it were my last day. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Shauna.
Of course.
And to round us out, Hakeem.
I mean, to depolarize the U.S. involvement in war, is that correct?
Yeah, so what actions could you take personally? It could be anything that comes to your mind
Oh,
that
just
you think that you can do to make any kind of difference, big or
just be
small.
just be involved, you know.
Just be involved.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't walk away. Be involved, you know, because being silent is it can be interpreted differently, you know. So just be involved, engage them, and see the two parties' concerns and see where you can make a difference. Yeah, thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Hakeem, and thank you everybody else for the words. I think that this has been an enriching discussion. We kind of see how everybody, views the world through their own lens. Some of us are, some of us are more educated in certain subjects than others. Some of us tend to take a step back and say, sometimes I need more information before I can go out and say, whether or not I believe in a certain stance or take a position in an issue. We've had several ideas that I think are beneficial and can lead to productive discussion moving forward in these much needed times, given the level of polarization and conflict, not just in our communities in the United States, but around the world. So with that, I would like to leave you with two final quotes. They are a little lengthy and I am going to read from them real quick, but I think they do kind of tie back into everything that we've been speaking of tonight. So the first quote is, "A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be might, ready for instant action so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But now we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. This conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. Yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought by the military-industrial complex. The potential for disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist." And this was a quote from Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States, during his farewell address from the White House on January 17th, 1961. And the last quote I would like to leave you with begins, "The attack took place on American soil, but it was an attack on the heart and soul of the civilized world. And the world has come together to fight a new and different war, the first, and we hope the only one of the 21st century, a war against all those who seek to export terror, and a war against those governments that support or shelter them." And that was said by the 43rd President, George W. Bush, on October 11th, 2001, 1 month after the attacks on the United States World Trade Centers on September 11th, 2001. And with that, I would like to thank you for participating in the discussion this evening and challenge everybody to take as much action that is necessary to do whatever you feel is right and just, because that is what our democracy is about. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We're going to debrief after Rachel and Meredith, because I have some good feedback. So I'm going to open the rooms, everybody except for Meredith, Hakeem, Angelica. Please accept the invitation. Rachel is going to facilitate her community circle. You ready, Rachel? Okay,
I
You
was
got it, Rachel. You're
I
gonna
was
do great.
I was hoping to give Rachel a lot of headache today, but it's okay.
no, you can't get rid of havoc today,
Yeah.
Hakeem.
Yeah, so I could tell. So I'm being sent to the
You're
room.
gonna
So
stay in
that's
the main room with Meredith and I and
right,
Angelica.
right. I know.
Oh, Hakeem, sorry.
Okay, everyone else, please accept your invites.
Thank you.
Am I going to a break room or staying in here?
You can stay in here. I'm trying to make it as even as possible. But I want to make sure Rachel has some really good round of opinions and reflections.
Oh, Rachel's doing a community, huh? All right,
Oh,
I'll go to
Yeah.
Rachel.
Professor, I still need to share my screen because I have a video.
You have, everybody should have shared screen.
Yeah, so I'll be able to share the my video as I'm. Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay, Meredith, once everyone goes into room 1, and then you will be here in the virtual room with Hakeem. But I don't know where Hakeem went. Hakeem was supposed to be here. Where's Hakeem? Let's see, Hakeem. Did he go into room 1? Oh, I'm bringing him back into the main session. He'll be back momentarily. There he is. Okay. So Meredith, just let us know when you're ready.
Okay, and I have a disclaimer. So I'm having technical difficulties also with, I did a PowerPoint,
Mhm.
but I don't know, that little spinning wheel keeps spinning and spinning.
Oh, it's loading something.
No, but I mean, it's like, it's not loading. It's been
No, that's what
spinning.
I mean. It's loading, but it's taking forever.
Yeah. So, so I don't have the PowerPoint
That's
right
okay.
now. But I think, well, we
Let
all
me
kind
see.
of know the ground rules and the expectations of this mediation, that we are going to be respectful to each other. We're going to listen attentively and speak, from our heart. Like, this is going to be, I would imagine, a fairly emotional interaction. and so I just hope that we can hold it down and keep respect in the room. Thinking primarily about relationships and restoration, not blame or being vindictive, but simply stating how we see the problem, what is the problem, what was the conflict, and how can we resolve this in some sort of way rather than bringing in the court system or making this contentious. And so the two participants,
Sorry, that's my dog.
Angelica's dog, is Ross and Devin. Ross was at the January 6th demonstration as a participant. Devin is with the Capitol Police. There is video that shows a fire extinguisher which weighed 15 pounds being thrown over 30 feet and hitting Devin in the head. And as a result of that injury, Devin has some severe losses. And we don't want to persecute Ross because Ross felt he was doing a good thing at the time. So I would hope that you would both give your perspective on the situation, and that we will listen intently and carefully to what is being said. And that's it. I had a lot my PowerPoint. Oh, PowerPoint. I'm just winging it.
So who's going first?
So whoever.
Okay.
Up to you.
I could go first.
Okay.
Okay. Hello all. My name is Devin Jackson. I'm a policeman, and I've served the state, and I've served the country for the past 20 years doing my job, and then doing what is expected of me. Here come January 6th or so, and this. Okay, just for the record, Meredith, I'm gonna make your life harder, so you need to correct me if I'm out of line. I'm just acting, okay? Just so you know, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so that's to make it look real, okay? Uh, so, so I did all I could, trying to protect the capital and then do my job to serve the nation. And then these crazy individuals, they just bump into the.
I'm not crazy.
Okay, I need somebody to tell me the definition of crazy then,
I
because
was making America great
oh,
again.
I,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I suppose I have my talking time.
It's all about making
suppose I have my
America
talking
great
time.
again.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Let's talk one person at a time until he is completely finished. Okay, Ross?
I'll try.
Let's,
I'll try.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
I hope
Devin.
I will get my time of interruption back, right? Because
Right.
as I'm speaking to you, I'm on a lot of Vicodin, a lot of pain medicine. Since this happened, I've
Maybe
lost
you
my.
were an addict before or something. How do we
Okay.
know?
Oh, here we go again. You see, this is why I wanted Mr. Ross to be prosecuted. But the better part of me saying, no, let's give a peace a chance, So I've served the police department for this long. So if I have a mental problem or anything, I will not be in the capital as protecting the nation. So here we are. I lost not just my family as a result of this. My
You
wife
should have
left
been
me.
protecting our votes.
Okay, well, he's not
That's
finished.
what I was there for.
Okay, but let him finish, please. Okay, let him say what he's saying. Go ahead, Devin.
Absolutely. So here we are, and I've been under a lot of pain, and my house has been, my family has been upside down. Things has been due to the loss, and now I lost my job. I cannot hold my children properly because of the injury I had in my hand, and I have this every hallucination, and PTSD, the whole 9 yards. I was diagnosed for that, So because of these. Terror that was rained on the capital on the January 6th by these the so-called hoodlums, But anyway,
excuse me, Devin. Devin, let's try not to do any name calling. Okay? Just be
We were
respectful,
sent by
please.
the President of the United States, so I don't know how we could be called victims.
We need to respect.
Excuse me, Miss Mediator.
Or it's not a mediation.
Excuse me. My name is Renata Valerie, and I'm here on behalf of Devin. Devin suffered a traumatic brain injury. Prior to this physical assault, he was in perfectly good health. A stellar officer, highly commended for his work and his ethic. And so I hear you, saying to Devin, let's not name call, but you also have to understand, and I don't know if this person that's sitting across from us understands
I love my
the impact of traumatic brain injury. It's not something Devin is going to ever recover from. So I'd like just to take a few minutes to talk about how he's been impacted. Aside from the obvious PTSD, he now suffers seizures.
Blame the president. Blame the president.
Well, you shouldn't have listened to Trump. You shouldn't have listened to Trump.
He's my president. He's my president.
Okay, but he had a job. He was a police officer for the United States government.
Ross,
He's
wait a
still the
minute.
president
Wait,
as far
Ross,
as we're concerned.
No, well, he might be your president, but that didn't give you. We're talking about you, Ross, the right. You can listen to a president, but does it give you the right to pick up a fire extinguisher and hit someone in the head?
We need to take a break. Can we have a minute?
No, I just wait. No, I want to talk about. I want Ross to understand.
We were defending America and we were defending democracy.
No, you're not.
Wait a minute.
You're listening to the orange man who wants to be an autocrat.
This police officer doesn't even sound American. I don't even know where he's from.
It doesn't matter. Before this happened, he was working the job. He was protecting your country.
Maybe he should be deported. We'll go back
to okay. Well, maybe you should be jailed like Trump, because that's where he's going.
I am American, and I want to make America great again.
So is he.
My goodness. Excuse
me.
He should
show us his birth
Can we
certificate.
have 1 minute of silence? Just 1 minute, 30 seconds. 30 seconds times 2.
I thought we were here to
Can
talk.
we please 1 minute of silence so that everybody can get back on topic? We're not talking about the election. We're not talking about Trump. We're not talking about the American government.
Devin's injury and explain how he's suffering.
Yes, but it got off track and started to go to the election and who's president and who's a patriot. We're not here for that. We can't resolve that here. But we can work on some kind of restoration between Devin and Ross as 2 individuals. Can we have 30 seconds of silence? And if you could redirect your minds back to the topic, which is only about Ross and Devin.
Are you a Democrat? Are you a Democrat?
Well, that went to 30 seconds.
I think you're on their side. I think you're a Democrat.
30 seconds of silence, please. And during that time, redirect your thoughts back to only Devin and you. Forget the surroundings, forget the Capitol building, forget the flags, forget it all. We're talking about a fire extinguisher.
He's not even talking. I think he's okay with it.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, now Devin was speaking and I'd like to let him finish. But the information that we're getting from his healthcare worker is extremely important in understanding his position, how he is acting right now in this room. I called him on name calling, and now his health worker is saying, you know, he wasn't like that before. This is a result of the injury. We need to get back to Ross, you, the fire extinguisher 2, and Devin. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. Why should he be suffering now?
Well, that's my point. the changes in his behavior, whether it's, you know, his anger that may erupt, or changes in his personality, which has impacted his relationship with his family, that is directly tied to him being a victim of an assault. And that resulted in traumatic brain injury. He will suffer for the rest of his life emotional disruptions. He will have seizures. He will experience mania. He will never, ever again be the whole person he was. So, as you said, it doesn't matter who told anybody to be there, why they were there. Ross is responsible for the injury. So we're just going to talk about what Ross did and how it's impacted Devin.
And how we can bring some kind of restoration to the situation.
Well, that's going to be up to Devin.
As opposed to going to the courts.
And I would say just this, and then I have nothing else to say. If Ross doesn't understand that he's at an advantage to even be in a restorative justice process, that Devin is being generous to even meet with him at this point, because the reality is he doesn't have to. Ross could be standing in front of a federal judge and getting federal prison time.
That's not going to happen. The president will get me out of prison.
Sure. Okay. I'm done, Miss Mediator. I've said what I had to say on behalf of Devin. Devin can decide for himself that he's cognitively able to function as long as he takes his medication when she has. And so my job here today was just to talk about the impacts. Now, if this other person wants to think somebody's going to save them, that's up to them.
Miss Democrat, I have a name.
Okay, Devin, you want to finish saying what you were saying?
Can somebody remind me what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
He doesn't even know why he's here.
You were
He doesn't
talking
even know
about,
why he's here. He's okay with everything.
okay.
Oh,
You were
okay.
talking about your background as a policeman.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me, because I have to, constantly use my medication, So again, I do not know why anyone would think it's right to throw a fire extinguisher in the midst of a crowd. And here we are. And because of the event of that day, everything has changed for me, my life, my family, everything has been upside down. And I'm a perfect picture of a medication cocktail. You need to visit my house and see the depth of my wardrobe in the bathroom. There's something I have to take in the morning, one I have to take in the noontime, one I have to take in the evening, one I have to take before I go to bed. So it's been a very life-changing event, and a lot of, just like my medical, he just mentioned, rightfully put it, a lot has really went upside, south for me ever since the event of the January 6th, with some people thinking they have the right to take over the government. So, but yeah, we are. So for the sake of peace, due to my religion and where I come from, so I was planning to give Mr. Ross some chance, for redemption. But from what I understood is if somebody does not even accept they are wrong, that there's harm been done, what are we doing here? Because from the way he's talking to me, I don't think this individual want want a redemption, or my forgiveness. So until that's it's been said, yeah, absolutely, then I think we are in the right place. Otherwise, I don't think this mediation will go anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Okay, Ross, you want to we're talking about, we're not talking about anything except you, a fire extinguisher, and Devin. That's it. Nothing else. Okay, please, Ross, go ahead.
I don't understand. What is, I don't remember his name. Drew? Is that his name? Drew? What does he want me to say? I was there to defend my country. I was there as an American. I was there because the
Okay, wait.
president wanted us to be there.
You're changing the subject. Now it's become the demonstration, but that's not what we're talking about. At some point, there was a fire extinguisher in your hand. It flew 30 feet and hit Devin in the head. If Trump had been in the crowd, it could have hit Trump. I'm just saying we gotta think only about you, the fire extinguisher, Devin.
But what do you want
Nothing
me to
else.
say? What do you want me to say?
So I would assume that what we're looking for is some sort of sense of I am accountable for that action, not blame. We're not talking about blame here. It's, yeah, I threw that fire extinguisher and I hurt someone. But, you know,
Someone who's not even from this country, right? You
there
said
is no justification. What if it had been in reverse?
well, it depends. If they were there to defend our democracy.
No. Oh, so that would be okay for the rest of your life to have mental illness, lose your family, lose your job, all of
But
that
I'm just
would
saying there's
be okay with
consequences
you.
of,
That would be okay with you?
there's
Are you telling me that
consequences.
right now you would, if Devin had thrown the fire extinguisher at you, how would that have worked out?
I don't know how I would feel if they had stolen the vote from them. How would they feel?
Oh, give me a break.
Stole the
Everybody
vote.
again. Give me a break.
They
Give me a
stole
break.
the election.
Give me a break.
How would you feel if
No,
they stole
we're
your
not.
election?
No. Devin didn't steal the election. Devin is an innocent bystander. He works at the Capitol. That's it. He didn't steal the election. You don't even know what his
Well,
political.
maybe he should have been there with
You
us.
don't know. But you threw it into a crowd. You didn't know who it was going to hit.
Okay, so what are you saying? That if I say I threw it, this is all gonna go away?
No. If Devin threw it at you, would you just take his apology? Or no, not apology. His admission to the act as restoration? That's my question.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking if his president asked him to do
No.
something.
We're not talking about presidents. Trump never asked anybody to throw a fire extinguisher. That didn't happen.
Well,
And
he asked us
Trump
to
has
work.
nothing to do with this. It's you, a fire extinguisher, and Devin. Nothing else.
So if I
Nothing.
say I threw the fire extinguisher, this goes away.
Like I said before, that's just an admission, but that's not taking responsibility.
Wasn't that what Drew said? That if
There's
I
a
admitted it?
difference between and like I said, an admission is not
What does
even
Drew want
an
from this? I don't
apology.
understand. I'm not really understanding here what he wants or what you want from me.
What would you want if you were Devin?
For him to go to jail?
Okay, and Devin is extending mercy in saying, I'll go to mediation. I don't want to go to the court and prosecute this individual.
So what does he want from me?
Well,
On
ask him.
here,
Ask him.
Devin, what?
You need to first accept and take responsibility as to what you guys did on that day. So that's we open door for subsequent conversation. Otherwise, we need to call this mediation off and maybe till another time. But without you
Well,
first
I didn't
accepting-
throw it at you directly.
Oh, you did. Well, your aim was you threw it. You knew let's shake the tree. You never know what's going to drop from it, and exactly what really happened. So, and if you're not even repent, you look stoic and you are ready to fight. Just like your leader told you. But you need to see my family. I'm even get an injunction from court. I can't even get closer to my kids because they say I'm crazy, just because of what you did. And here we are, and you are still putting the blame on me, calling me a Democrat, calling me, all sort of
Illegal.
names. Yeah, so it's unbelievable.
Are you here illegally?
Wow, see, that's exactly what I say. For you to be a police, maybe for your
Well, I don't even know if you have rights if you're here illegally.
I don't have to answer you, and exactly because maybe so you know, because many of you guys are just bunch of this and following this guy who is dump as you can call. Because for you to be a policeman, to work in the this very high level of clear security, you must be in the country legally. So unfortunately, because many of you guys are illiterate, you are following this guy everywhere he goes. So you guys don't seem to know.
He
Oh,
said Barack Obama was illegally or was not born here.
Okay.
So
There we go. You're not even sure I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. You don't even know my
you're
party
a
affiliate.
Republican?
You don't need to know
Oh,
my
wait
party
a
affiliate.
minute. Wait a minute. We're getting off track again. Let's come back to the subject. Let's come back to the subject.
I asked
It doesn't
Devin what he needed from me.
we're going into this presidential thing, and
Can I talk to him
that's
directly?
not the issue. The issue is a fire extinguisher was in your hand. It went
Why isn't
flying
he
30
showing his
feet,
face
and it
tonight,
hit
by the way?
him in the head. That's the issue. He doesn't have to be here, Ross. We don't have to be in mediation. He can go directly to the courts.
Okay, can I speak to him directly?
We have video. There's proof that it happened. So ask Devin.
I'm not really okay, Devin. Devin, what is it that you want from me?
Accept responsibility first, to have the feelings of what I'm going through with myself, my family, and to see how you've really.
So you're addicted to pain pills now.
I think we need to call this off because I'm not going to be sitting back here. I don't want to. You say we should not use some colorful name, but
No. We can do this.
I'll do my best.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'll do my
Okay, I said
best
I'm
not
sorry.
to talk to. It's not your sincerity is a little bit on a shaky ground, because all I want is for you to accept responsibility and for you to know the harm you've caused and the emotional damage and all the things I'm going through. So otherwise, let's meet in the criminal court of law and let's do.
No, I said I was sorry. I said I was sorry.
Okay, that's a start. That's a start. I think
I never say that.
We can work on that one. So pretty much what I've been looking for somebody to step up and say they are responsible for my predicament and for what I'm going through. All I've been having is just one excuses to another. So yeah, if you are truly sorry, then of course we can work on that and take that to the next level, which is the reason why we are here, is to not to go to court and to find solutions to this and see where everyone can go back happily. So pretty much. Okay.
Well, I said I was sorry, so we're
And I,
not going to record anymore.
no, and I said it's cool. Yeah, it's fine. If you're ready to accept you're sorry, do you accept the responsibility of what happened then? Because for restorative justice to occur, you have to admit that the harm was done and you perpetrated it. And it's not just you're sorry. Sorry for what? You're not telling us why you're sorry. I don't know if this is my job, Meredith. So, but I'm just trying to make a point here, because being sorry is for what? What are you sorry for? Are you sorry for, what you did then, or are you sorry for just because of the outburst that you rail on me today? Which one are you sorry for?
Mm,
You see, Meredith, we need to call this.
it's really hard for me to apologize. I need a minute.
Yeah. So there we go.
It's hard. It's hard for me as a man to come here and apologize to you.
Can you say it one more time and say it slowly? Because that has to go in the record of our mediator.
It's hard for me as a man to apologize.
Okay, let's meet in the court then. So I think that is it. So we cannot.
No. I'm gonna try. Okay, I apologize for throwing that fire extinguisher.
That's not a
And
complete. That's not a complete sentence.
I'm
what
sorry that
steps,
you're addicted to pain pills.
what
Okay,
steps
okay.
can you take? What steps can you take to why it can't be done? It's impossible. Devin cannot be restored to his condition prior to the incident. He cannot be restored there. But what can you do in the future? What action can you take to let Devin know by your actions that you're taking responsibility for this? More than just saying, I'm sorry. Like,
I don't know what I can do.
what can you do to show him through actions that you are taking responsibility, not just in words, but in actions?
I don't know what he wants me to do.
Now, it's not what he wants you to do. What can you do to help him to deal with what he's dealing with now?
I don't know. I think if we make America great again, everybody will be in a better position.
But he will suffer forever because you had a fire extinguisher in your hand, you threw it, and it hit him in the head. Now, it doesn't matter what's going on with elections or anybody.
It's hard not seeing his face.
What can you do
put it in perspective
personally? What can you do personally to let him know that you are taking responsibility for what happened to him? Is there a commitment that you would be willing to make?
Well, I don't think it's going to happen again.
But is that a restorative action? No, that's no action.
Well, it's
So
my first time doing this. So.
what can you do to show him? What can you commit to show him that you are accepting the responsibility?
Well, why doesn't he tell me what I can do? I don't have any ideas.
Yeah,
What would
absolutely, absolutely. You can just volunteer for the community and talk to kids about hunger and how to control it. That could work for me. And both section in, section out, at least for 2-3 school in the community, and talk to them about hunger and what hunger can lead to. That alone can go a long way for me to show that things like these, even if it's just one person you can change his or life, that will go a long way for me to believe you are truly a believer in peace and you don't want violence, pretty much.
Okay, I can do that. I can talk to kids.
excellent. So I am hearing that Devin has asked you please to reach out to the community and possibly prevent other incidents like this from happening by talking to children about conflict. And you have agreed to that. Devin, what do you think? So if she goes out just one time, is that sufficient? What kind of commitment are you looking for her to make?
No, no, it's just I can continue to monitor her, right? But all I said is that it's 2-3 times at least in the community she lives, and the evidence of her doing it, and to talk to kids, to stay away from violence. That but violence cannot solve a problem. That we should be. I'm sorry, as that we should be more peaceful.
Okay, and what do you think of that, Ross?
2 or 3 times, talk to kids.
Hey guys. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hello.
we're here.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. I just need some water. So I'm just saying the best is for Ross to have for the meeting. Talk to kids about hunger. That will go a long way for me. Thank you.
Professor, I didn't get a chance to finish, but it's okay. If you don't mind allowing me to let David at least have to share his experience, because he was the last one within my break room, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. David, are you able to elaborate? He was the only one that could not, he did not participate.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody else pretty much touched on some of the thoughts that are going through my mind. I understand this is a controversial topic. I consider, I mean, I'll be honest, I consider myself more progressive leaning personally. However, when I do see these stories and I hear, you just hear the evidence, what it does biologically, the advantages and this and that. Yeah, I think one, how do I feel about it? I think that it is controversial and we need to discuss it. Two, do you feel males should create a league of their own? I think that at this point in history, given the level of polarization, it probably would be the best option for common ground to initially start their own league and then possibly transition. I think Atika made an excellent point that if things are fluid, why don't we just have, if regardless of gender, who you are, what you are, whatever, if you could play a sport, you could play a sport. Everybody's competing. The best is the best. But I think we're far from that, if not light years from that, it seems like, given our progress lately, just my opinion. Do you feel parents in various communities might have concerns about these issues as it relates to sports? Yes, of course. I live in a conservative community. Sorry, I don't mean to get too political, but yeah, parents are pissed about this. They've been talking about it the last couple weeks. every time you hear a story that comes across, whether it's the Fox News or the Newsmax screen, you know, people are waving their phone in your face and going on about how, you know, this is the end of everything as we know it. So people are upset about it in the community. Number 4, if you were given a choice to implement a system for youth sports that will be a standard across the board for each child, regardless of the gender they identify with, what would your program look like and why? You know, that's a very powerful question. And I don't even think that any of the other participants elaborated, except, I mean, I think Atika kind of did touch on this a little bit. You know, if it's fluid, everybody's kind of just in it together, male, female, transgender, you're just, you know, competing regardless of identity. So I guess that would probably be the most efficient form of an answer I could give as well. That's something that it would have, you know, essentially look like from my view.
Thank you so much. Oh, go ahead on. Professor V, Antika's. Okay, go ahead, please, Antika.
I agree, and well stated, David. And just to finish up my thought, you know, that's what we're moving towards anyway, kind of like an androgynous type of a society. And I get it. So why are we even emphasizing male this, female that, male this, female that? Why don't we just cut that out? And now the division won't even, because if we have different groups for transgender, do you realize how many different orientations there are now? So if there was a different group for everyone, that'd be a lot of different groups. And then the topic of segregation would come up. Why are we segregating? Why isn't there unity, right? That'd be next. So just go ahead and integrate and knock out the barriers or the labels and what have you. And there it is. Then again, I don't have kids, so.
No, and that's why we're having this dialogue. Thank you so much, everyone, for your feedback, because it allows us to have a different perspective. David mentioned that he's in a mainly Republican neighborhood, and all of us are in different neighborhoods. All of our communities look different. And so coming together on this platform to express these things in a respectful manner, but very sensitive to the topic, I want to thank everyone warmly for that. I also appreciate those who were very patient with me this evening, because I'm not that tech savvy, you know, working on that, and we was able to push through that and still make this community building exercise a success. I value everyone's opinion in regards to that, and I think we summed up the end question, which is the most powerful one at the end. What should the program look like? And that's what I was building up towards the end. And I believe Atika, David, and a few other comments have kind of summarized that very well. So thank you so much for your time and your participation. I'm gonna turn it over to Professor V.
Okay, so I want to start with, I think Atika was the observer for Angelica. So tell us a little bit about Angelica. Angelica, by the way, should get Best Actress Award right now. So I was like, oh, that MAGA hat. I was like, oh, that red hat.
I missed the MAGA hat. Angelica.
Oh, yes.
That was so fun.
No.
It was fun.
I was like, really?
Oh no.
You guys, well, you watch.
I definitely am.
Party.
I like seeing her in character. It's my tea for the day.
So Atika, tell us a little bit about Angelica.
Okay, so they excellent acting, all parties, and some things that stood out. I mean, they're really, really excellent acting. I want to start out with the notes I took about Angelica. She remembered some really amazing things. She welcomed everyone. She gave guidelines. She remembered to welcome everyone. She gave guidelines. She told them, she gave them format, discussed the incident. And she told them what the purpose of the meeting was, which was to come to an agreement. Coming to an agreement is up to the parties. And she wanted to know how had they been affected. Again, she clarified the purpose of the meeting, and she said to explain the impact or what have you. And they introduced themselves, talked about what happened, how it impacted them, why they wanted what they wanted, and what it was that they wanted. So again, it was really organized, well thought out, and executed. And she gave the members a choice to go first. She didn't say you do this or you do that. She gave them a choice. And so when it came to the parties, the victim, the victim of the crime, she was very flexible. You know, she said, this is what happened to me, but I've known you all your life. And this is what I want to offer you to make it right. You know what I mean? So this can go away. And without going into all those details or what have you, the actual perpetrator or the person who committed the crime, it came out that she didn't even realize, or she may not be responsible for committing a crime. Although a crime did happen, it may not have been on purpose. And she wants to make things better by paying it back. And they were able to negotiate an amount that she could pay back for the crime, because a check got cashed that was bogus. And so they did agree on that. So I thought that was well executed. And Angelica did a really, really good job of you know, making out a payment plan. She told them she would when they agreed on it, she told them she'd email them and have them docu-sign the plan. And are there some questions that you would like me to answer that I might have not answered already?
No, I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Yeah, but everything was so well executed. I have all these notes and I don't want to read them, but everyone involved did a wonderful job. And I mean, they were creative in the way that this went. It was good. And there was a resolution. So good job.
Thank
Well,
you, Tika.
I just want to say, Angelica, I knew you could do it. I told you you could do it.
Yeah, she was a natural.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, so David, give us your feedback about Miss Rachel.
I think Rachel did an excellent job maintaining like a neutral tone, very calm, neutral tone, consistent, and validating people's answers and their words. I think that you do a really good job of summing it up, also combining it with that tone that really validates their experience and brings them to the table in the discussion as you start the circle process. Unfortunately, there was some tech delay, so we did get a little obstructed by that. That's pretty much my lone criticism, though. I thought that you were very solid and efficient up until that point, and then we, you know, just kind of went through that first round. I think that had we gone through each question, though, and had your presentation gone as it intended, and we would have let it dragged out, it would have been very informative and very powerful, very, very much so. So I think you did a very good job constructing the questions that you did, putting them in the particular order, especially the last one, because I had, you know, I kind of had that aha moment as I was looking at it here and then thinking about what Otika said, and I just light bulb in my head, like, wow, okay, you know, powerful. It's amazing that we got there that quick, but just think what else we could have, you know, gotten into had we had the time to sit at the table a little bit longer.
Thank you so much.
And I just want to add something to what David said for all of you to remember when you create these spaces, whether it's a one-on-one situation or you're in a larger community. The more you give people time to talk and listen, they broaden their understanding. It will shift perspective. And one of the most beautiful outgrowths of conversation is the ability to change. Not change the person, but change their perspective where you can create something different. That's where the transformation occurs. You can all come in and be a problem solver. You can put a Band-Aid on and say, okay, we're gonna fix this right now, but it's temporary. You don't want to be just conflict resolvers. You want to be conflict transformationists. You want to change what was when you walked in to something else. Not just say, okay, I came in, I problem solved with you, fine. But what can you create from that problem? What can evolve? What change can you create? It could be a policy change. And Rachel knows this, and Otika, because they're working on the Competent Project. It could be a process. It could just simply be people at a point where they say, you know what, we can work together. We've sat in this room, we've had this conversation, we can now work together. But it's your ability to hold the space and let that conversation flow to a point where the parties are now listening, intently listening for understanding. And once they get to the point that they can understand, then what can they change? So they don't have the same problem again. So just remember, don't just view yourself as a conflict resolver. Think transformation, whether you're working with a one-on-one or you're working in a community. How can you transform that conflict? Not just put a Band-Aid on it and resolve it, but how can you transform whatever's going on in that community or whatever's going on with those two people? And that's what I just heard David reference, was that there was a transformation. If Rachel had had a few more minutes, there would have been a full transformation of what was a very sensitive, maybe emotional topic. And that's the reason why you do what you do. It's not just problem solving, it's transforming, moving from the conflict to creating something different. So I want to talk about David, since I had a chance to listen. I thought David did a really good job. I liked the fact that he used the icebreaker. I think that's really important, especially if you're going into communities, you're doing this work as a contractor, you're going into communities, they don't know who you are, they don't know what you bring. And so one of the ways is that you create this trust, is that you kind of break down that shell. So, you know, having an icebreaker is a good way to start that. I like that he did that. I like, you know, that he went through his ground rules. And what I found, you know, from David, and I've seen this in the work that he's done before, is he's a very good listener and very good at summarizing and reframing, you know, what he's heard. And I haven't heard him lose or shift the context of what a speaker has said. And that's a very, very highly skilled practitioner that can do that. So I just really want to recognize David for that. I thought you did a great job for a sensitive subject also, because I could have just went to the left, because I'm like, and you all have to forgive me, I told my kids this, if my son was not 18 and I wasn't scared of him being drafted and going over there fighting a war and maybe not going home, I'd probably be on a plane with him. Like, oh no, this one, he's got to be put down. I'm sorry. Because he's going to come for the United States no matter what. So we can sit here and play nicety nice all we want. But I'm like, okay, I'm not going to railroad David, because normally I would, but I didn't. But it was, you know, it's a very sensitive topic, and it could have, you know, it could have gone that way. But I thought he did a great job in, you know, again, tying in from, you know, once he heard one person, you know, he tied, it's sort of like tying the loops together to paint this picture. So I thought you did a really great job for a very sensitive subject. And I wish I could have sat in on Rachel's, because I would have some thoughts for you too. That would have like, would she please get out of my room? But again, these you know, these topics are very sensitive. Communities are different, perspectives are different. And when you hold space for that, you know, you do a wonderful job when you can feel comfortable listening and you not taking, you know, anything that's said personally. So I commend both of you for that. And for Meredith, I want to say, I didn't know Meredith had it in her either, but she did. She did a great job with our, Angelica's gonna get the Best Actress Award, because I was like, oh my gosh, she just kept bringing up the Magna Hat and he's our president. And I'm like, oh, you hit an officer in the head with a fire extinguisher, and now the man suffers from traumatic brain injury. And she was like, well, maybe he shouldn't be a, you know, he shouldn't be a Democrat. And, you know, I'm doing this, our president. I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm a healthcare provider, so I couldn't say too much other than to talk about the injury. But she did a great job. I was like, oh my God, I wish I was Hakeem. I had Hakeem's role because Miss Angelica, she was amazing. But Meredith did a really great job. She kept redirecting because Angelica's character kept going back to the fact that you know, yeah, it was thrown, but you know, she wasn't taking responsibility. Even though I talked about how he was injured, even though Hakeem talked about how he lost his family, you know, the impacts of, you know, having this injury. And all she kept saying, well, maybe he wouldn't have the injury if he made America great again. And I wanted to go, what?
She's great. Angelica, you were amazing.
She was. I was like,
It was
oh
fun. It was
my
really,
Lord.
really fun.
But
Opposite of me.
Meredith did a great job, and she was very firm in saying, we don't want to talk about politics. We're not here to talk about politics. We're here to talk about what you did, because that person didn't make you throw that fire extinguisher.
Professor,
You threw
what
the
role
fire
was-
extinguisher.
What role was Meredith playing?
She was the mediator.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
victim offender circle. And so she did a really great job of saying, stay focused. We're not talking about politics here. We're talking about accountability. You threw, you know, this fire extinguisher and injured this person. Now you need to hear what his long-term effects are and how he'll never be the same person again. You need to hear about the losses he suffered. And she kept trying to bring it back to our president and that MAGA hat. And I was like, oh my God.
What was the
that's what they
discussion
do.
topic and where was I at? Was it during when I was going?
Yes.
What was the discussion
Angelica,
topic?
you were so good. I mean, you
Let's
really
observe the
challenged me.
supporters. Yeah.
I have never thought that I would be even remotely a mediator in my life. And after dealing with you, I know for sure I will never
Yeah. I wanted to bring it out in you
were
too.
tough. You were so tough. It was amazing. You
So
really
David,
played the character.
Angelica played Ross and Hakeem played Devin. And
Okay.
so Ross was one of the insurrectionists who threw or hit this officer over the head with the fire extinguisher.
Was that
Who
based
now-
on the true story?
It's a little bit
He
of
was
what
killed.
happened.
The guy
Okay.
who got hit with the fire
He
extinguisher
eventually died.
So
Okay.
I just made it,
Okay.
you know, an injury.
And so Angelica did not want to admit that she had done anything wrong. It was all in the name of her president.
Stuck to the script. An Oscar
And so-
performance, huh? Like,
I'm telling you, Meredith did a great job. She said, stop. I want you to stop. Everybody stop for 30 seconds. We're not here to talk about politics. Just stop. Angelica could not hold her water. She had to go talking. She just, boom.
It was funny.
goodness.
No,
But
it wasn't funny.
Meredith did such a great job at reframing. And she asked her, she said, what would you want to happen to Devin
Someone
he had
with
hit
a
you over the
with-
head? And you know what the first thing she said? Oh, go to jail.
Hey.
Was like, okay, you would want him to go to jail, but what do you think you should do?
Overturn the
You know?
election. Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think the other thing
love
Meredith
democracy,
did, she
though.
did a really good job at highlighting the impacts of Angelica. She played Ross, of Ross's behavior and trying to get her to be accountable. Now, one thing I think you missed out on, Meredith, is Hakeem had said twice when she just kept going, deferring back to the election. Okay, fine, let's just go to court. So when he said that you should have ended it, right then because he was frustrated. He told her what he wanted. And she kept sneering back, going full circle back to, oh, are you a Republican? I was like, oh, no, no, no.
Hey, let it go to court 60 times.
That's what I said.
60
I
times.
told the mediator, I
Let it
told
go
her,
to
I said,
court.
does he know Devin doesn't have to be
Yeah.
here for a restorative justice circle?
Whatever the number is, it was
Just
like
let him
close
go
to
to
60
prison.
or whatever. Yeah.
But she, Meredith did a good job in trying to, bring it back and redirect the energy. And finally, there was an agreement. And that's when you all came in that Hakeem would accept that Ross would, part of his community service would be to talk to community members and especially to children about the impacts of anger and what that looked like. And she sort of gave a sort of half apology. To me, if it had been me, I wouldn't have accepted it. Because it was very disingenuous.
Like the one I
But-
gave you last week.
Yes, like that. But, Hakeem accepted it. But, Meredith did a great job. Angelica did a great job. It sounds like Miss Rachel did a great job and David. So I just want to, again, commend all of you, those of you who did your sessions today and last week. This work is not easy. It's not easy, but it's filled with so much joy when you can give community members a safe place to be Angelica, be that MAGA person and say what they have to say while the other person's listening on the other side. Everyone cannot hold this space. So you should commend yourselves that you're able to do it. And the more you do it, the better, the more relaxed you will become, the more efficient you will become. So I'd like to thank all of you. I think the only person left that needs to facilitate is, I want to say Namdi, and I think Lori. So we should Namdi won't, he can't do his until a Sunday, April the 2nd, I believe. So if anybody's available, he is going to do, his topic is going to be, which is amazing because I had just read the article. I don't know how many of you know that they're thinking about, the Center for Disease Control is thinking about modifying the mask, the face mask, if we ever find ourselves in another pandemic. And one of the things they're thinking about including is a chip to track you. I was like, I don't know about that one.
Already got mine here and here.
I know.
And pretty soon here.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, I don't need a tracker in my mask now. It's bad enough that when I'm thinking,
the
okay,
purpose
let me
of
look
that?
at something that pops up on, oh, are you looking for Warriors tonight? Warriors game tonight? And it pops up on my phone. So that's what his topic will be on, mask modification. So if anyone's available.
Don't you have to wash your mask though? If it's reused, or is it a detachable tracker? Like,
I don't know
I've got so many questions. I'm gonna have to attend that.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it, but that's what they're discussing. They're also thinking about the filtration. They're saying the N95s, the filtration system captures maybe 62, 65%. And so they want to increase that to 82%. And then they want to redesign it because of the airflow. So it's a whole big thing that the Center for Disease Control is talking about. And so that's going to be his topic.
So was that like a meta-analysis that they conducted, like all the studies that they've done on masks, and that's how they get the range that they list?
I would assume so.
Okay.
I would assume so. But I'm trying to figure out, what is that going to look like? You know, are we gonna have like a little, where's the little chip gonna be? Is it gonna be up here? Is it gonna be over here? I mean, where's it gonna be?
Yeah, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I already have a hard time enough with them,
Mm-hmm.
with our cell phones.
That part.
But now if
And
you
our
have to wear
cars.
a mask, and even now that everything about you, you know, if you have your vaccination, you're in a database, your driver's license, your real ID, they know your whole life, where you was born, everything. That's why you got the little bear on your ID, little tracker. Our whole lives is, you know, government knows everything. So why do they need one more other little thing to track us?
Because they can make money off of it somehow. Somebody somewhere somehow can make money off of it somehow. That's always
true.
the answer. That's always the
So-
answer. I hate to say it.
And I
I
can see where in that you
I
can't
just,
see the person's face, that maybe
Mhm.
the chip would allow recipients or people you're coming towards to ID who you are. Because I remember 5 years ago, I couldn't walk in a bank with a mask, not my bank that I went to. But now if I don't have a mask on, yeah.
I know, I don't, you know, I don't know the rationale, but the article I read yesterday that came out from the CDC was really focused on modifying for future use, you know, masks. There's, you know, a lot of complaints about, you know, the first mask we wore, the sort of like surgical mask, we were too close, people couldn't breathe. And so now you have the N95s and the KN95s, and, you know, even changing that to increase airflow. So they're looking at redesigning masks, you know, should we have another pandemic, but what is that going to look like?
You
So
mean
that's going to be nominees time. It's going to be interesting to hear what people think about that.
I just saw a news bit about Apple is now going to have your driver's license. And so if you show the policeman your driver's license on the app, they can read it just like they read it, you know, when you get stopped. They can find
Wow.
out if it's a real driver's license, all of your information. And Apple is going to, Apple, not the government,
private
not the
entities. Yeah.
DMV, Apple is going to have all the information on your driver's license, your driving record, all of that, and on your phone. I'm like, whoa, scary, really
Yeah.
scary.
You know,
Because it's a company, it's not a government, you know.
and any perception of privacy we thought we had, we don't. We have no privacy. But it's going to be interesting. So if anyone's available to support Nnamdi, and I definitely will be there because I want to hear just, you know, what other people are thinking. I think that's going to be a very interesting topic. I'm not sure what Lori's topic will be. She was supposed to be here tonight, but she's had some internet connectivity issues, so she couldn't join us tonight. But I want to thank you all. I can't wait till this loads up so you guys can see Angelica and her fine acting.
So, Professor,
Yes.
are we able to see the recordings from all of our from everyone's?
If they're still on Zoom holds them for, I want to say they used to hold them for 30 days. I'd have to go back because recently I've been getting emails that they're starting to delete.
Okay.
So I mean, I'll go back and see which ones are still available. And I can share them to Blackboard, but I don't know how many are because I know starting last week, they started deleting my recordings.
Okay. So can I do it independent of you, or I would need you to be able to access the videos and share them on Blackboard?
I would have to share them on Blackboard.
Okay.
And if you go to Blackboard, Shauna, you should, if they're still on my Zoom and they haven't been deleted, just go to Blackboard and you'll see all the Zoom recordings.
Okay.
And if you click on them and you can access them, great. But if you click on them and you can't, then they've already been deleted.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you all. We got one more round, and Can you believe it's the end of the end of the end? It went by quick.
Professor, how many
Well,
days
I
do
want
we
to
have?
thank,
Go ahead,
I'd
Meredith. I'm
like,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Rachel.
No, go ahead, Meredith.
Shauna. I want to thank Akeem and Angelica, because I am a procrastinator. And so you didn't get hardly any time to prepare. Thank you so much for volunteering. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It was an honor, Meredith. It was an honor. Thank you.
Hi, Hakeem. It wasn't me.
Ah.
My character.
All right. All
I
right.
would never say those things. That was so opposite of me. That's why it was so fun.
I was banned from bothering you, so yeah.
I was wanting you to come harder at me, but I don't know. I didn't. You were so nice.
No, it was Professor V who said to us in the class many times that she misread you. So I was trying to go very, very kind with you. So Professor always make us clear that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so unfair.
She gave us the wrong impression about you, but you totally like two different person entirely. So yeah, I give you that.
She shocked me too, Hakeem. I'm the first to say it.
Because Hakeem can bring the fire.
You're not a good reader, Professor, because she was a different person entirely.
She fooled me. Yes, she did.
Yeah, for long you've told us she's a kind, she doesn't talk, she doesn't do this, she's quiet one. I could remember your words, She's not quiet.
It's always the quiet ones, you know that, right?
She came with the dagger. She
She did.
like it this time, Yeah.
She did.
Wow. I want to hear that.
I want to hear it too.
She surprised me.
She's a master role player, very, very good.
Oh,
Great job. Okay, so I will see you guys one last time next week. And
what day do we meet and what time?
What's today? Today is Thursday. Thursday. 6. You can't make it, Shauna?
I'm leave on April 3rd, so we're talking prior to April 3rd.
Yes.
I will be there.
Yes.
So our last class meeting is on Thursday at 6. Is that what you're saying, Professor V? Okay. And so all our work has to be updated by then? By
no,
Thursday?
you have, I have been very late. I mean, I've tried to keep up with, but I went back the other day and I was like, oh, there's been some answers to the discussion board that I got to go back to. So if you can have everything maybe the following week, next Saturday, that'll be great.
Okay, that'll give me more time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, well, you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Great weekend. I'll see you next week.
See you next Thursday, everybody.
Good night.
Thank
you.
See you next Thursday.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we do have one more class then, even though the course schedule, I believe classes start next week for next semester, it says online, right? Okay. Because your other classes start next week, correct?
Yes.
Like you're going to be starting those other 2 classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So real quick, well, just what
yes.
I know we're going to discuss a few things. I messaged